Hey, I'm Lori.
And I'm David.
And we're so glad to have you here. In this video, we're going to walk you through every step of the home buying process so that you can know what to expect, be fully prepared, and buy your new home with confidence. We at Ramsey Group of Keller Williams want to give you as much value as possible in this video and just share with you what we've learned over the years. We assist hundreds of people every year at buying and selling homes, and we have top ratings and 5-star reviews on Google, Facebook, and Zillow, to name a few. We don't want you to be caught off guard or make some of the mistakes we've seen others encounter. There's a lot to navigate when buying a home, from having your finances in order to finding the right agent to represent your best interests, identifying your property, making an offer, negotiating that offer, navigating the inspection process, dealing with the appraisal process, getting your loan approved, making sure there's a clean title on the home, and finally closing on that home that you and your family have always dreamed of owning. This information applies to anyone looking to purchase a home. Our experience is going to be especially valuable to those looking in the St. Joseph, Missouri and surrounding areas, because this is where we live. It's our community, we have local resources, and we are the experts in this market. In this video, we're going to debunk some myths that people inaccurately believe about purchasing a home. We're going to talk about what costs you need to be preparing for, and we're going to walk you through the entire home buying process from beginning to end. And then we're going to wrap up with some final takeaways and provide you with helpful resources so that you can be well prepared and buy your home with confidence. So with that, let's get started.
All right, let's talk about myths. So myth number one is a lot of times we come across this a lot, that you need 20% down to buy. And while that's good to have 20% down, it's not necessary. I mean, we work a lot with clients that, a lot of times all they can come up with is 0 to 5% down, and that's doable. A lot of lenders nowadays are actually working with people with some of those lower credit scores, and you can get financing for homes and not have to come up with that 20% down. So that is not at all true. And if you want to know about repairing your credit, reach out to us. I mean, there's resources out there that we can get you to repair your credit.
Myth number two is renting is always cheaper than buying, and that's not really true. So in actuality, rent rates are going up and are expected to continue to rise with inflation. So I think David has a story about that.
Yeah, actually, I myself rented into my mid-20s just because I didn't know a lot of the things that we're talking about today, and all the different the ways that you can buy. I had no clue. So I actually had somebody that was kind enough, who was a realtor, and she reached out and she kind of explained these things to me. And I was able to get into a nicer place than what it was that I was renting for cheaper. I saved money on my monthly payment. And so, and then I was investing in something that I owned and building my own equity.
Now we're going to talk about what you can expect to pay. For instance, imagine that you're sitting down with your spouse and crunching numbers and trying to calculate what you're going to need in order to buy that new home. You're going to be really disappointed if you find out that that home that's perfect for you, and then you realize that you didn't account for things like a down payment or closing costs, so you actually can't afford that one that you thought was just the perfect home. But a good agent is going to remind you of all those things, those upfront costs, so that doesn't happen to you. So you have to have money for a down payment, you have to have earnest money, you have to have inspections, appraisals, and closing costs. Those are some of the fees you're going to encounter, and we'll talk a little bit more about those in detail coming up. So there are lots of free mortgage calculators out there, so as you're using those, just don't forget to add your insurance and taxes so that you'll make sure that what you're projecting is the correct amount. And don't shop for more than you can afford. There are agents out there who are going to push you to do your top of your limits. But honestly, we don't feel like you should be married to your house, so we know you're going to want to go out to eat and go out to a movie occasionally, so don't max out your savings, and just make sure that you have a good amount of money so that you can live your life.
Yeah, and another thing I want to add is you're going to get a pre-approval letter from your lender, whoever it is you decide to go with. Once you get that letter, it's very important that you remember not to go out and make any large purchases or apply for new credit cards, new car, furniture. You're buying a house, so you want to buy furniture for your new house, but those things can change your credit, and you also want to make sure you don't have any large expenses going in or out of whatever bank account you're going to use, because they have to account for all of that. So, and that can cause the final lending to fall through later on in the purchasing process. And so other good news is typically, to use a buyer's agent, it comes at no cost to you.
Now we're going to talk about the home buying process. So you might be thinking, why do I need an agent? it's important to have your own agent who represents you, because the agent on the sign is actually already under contract to represent the seller. So you want to make sure that you have your own representation, somebody watching out for your best interests. That agent is going to establish a working relationship with you. They'll determine your needs and your time constraints and your financial pre-qualifications. So really that's the first step, is being pre-qualified. We want to make sure that we know exactly what criteria that we need to be looking for. So choosing the right lender is very important. Not all lenders are the same. So I know you're shopping for interest rates, and that's fantastic, but you also need to be shopping with somebody who your agent knows is going to be a good fit and who is going to be able to walk you through that process and make sure that we close on time, which is the most important thing, and doesn't probably seem like it in the beginning of the process, but when you have your moving van in the driveway and you don't close on time, that's a big deal. So we have some local people that we recommend. Obviously, it's totally your choice. So if you have somebody that you work really well with, that's fine. But if you do need some resources, we have those, and we know they do a good job and they do close on time. Another thing to keep in mind is it does take a minimum typically of 4 to 6 weeks to close, unless you have cash, and then we can do that pretty quickly. But if you have a loan, then it could take that full 4 to 6 weeks. It might take us an additional 4 to 6 weeks to find that perfect property. So just when you're budgeting time, you need to consider maybe 8 to 12 weeks in order to get to the move-in date.
So imagine you sit down with an agent and they don't ask you the right questions, to help you find a property. I mean, there's a lot of houses out there and they keep popping up, and we don't need to look at every single house. So it's very important that we ask you questions to help tighten up that search, right? We want to ask you 500 questions and show you 5 properties, and ask you 5 questions and show you 500 properties, because that sounds exhausting, and your time is very valuable, and we don't want to waste it looking at a bunch of stuff that does not suit your needs. So we're going to sit down and we're going to select some properties. And the way we do that as realtors is we use the MLS. And you probably hear that a lot. People saying MLS. Well, what is it? It's the multiple listing service. And as realtors, we have access to any home listed with any brokerage out there. And we can get inside those homes and take a look at those, and things like the pre-MLS, we can see them before they hit. So before they hit all these websites you guys are looking at, we kind of have a leg up. And if we know what you're looking for, we can get in there, hopefully be the first ones in there and be making offers on something. So depending on the home that you're looking for, if you want to be in a certain subdivision, let's just say, we will get creative and we might go knock on some doors, find out if, hey, is somebody selling a home, going to be selling a home, and maybe even catch it before it hits the market, because, the little competition in this market right now, the better. So we can pass out flyers, we get creative with it. So we'll select some properties and we're gonna go around and we're gonna look at those properties. Now, if you're looking at multiple properties, they can kind of mix together a little bit. So I'll give you a piece of paper and I'll print out all the information on those properties, and I highly encourage you when you're walking through them to take notes of things you like, things you don't like, and then we'll step outside afterwards. I'll ask you kind of on a 1 to 10, how do you feel about this property? We get up in that 8, 9, 10 range, then we'll start having other conversations. But, and it's good for me working with you to represent you and your needs to take note of the things you don't like and to take note of the things you do like. So that way we're looking at properties that, are going to be of best interest to you.
And now we found that perfect home and we're ready to make an offer. So we're here beside you to make suggestions and offer tools and resources that are going to help your offer stand out and get accepted. You want someone in your corner for this. So as an example, here in St. Joe in the Carriage Oak subdivision, we were able to beat out a cash offer, which is tough to do, just by using an escalation clause. So you really want someone in your corner for this process, someone who does this day in and day out. We are full-time realtors. This is what we do every single day, and we're going to be able to help you get the house that you want. You're always in control, but we're here to walk you through every step of the process, including the counter offers and the inspection process.
Okay, so we pulled out every stop, we've used every trick in the book, and we got your offer accepted. And so now we start talking about things like those upfront costs, earnest money, inspection fees, things like that. So the first one I want to talk about is earnest money. Another term for that is good faith deposit. I want to point out again that is a deposit. So you're going to get that back at closing, and it's going to be at the title company. You'll take a check to the title company or give it to us, and we can handle that for you. Is another benefit in using an agent, but we're going to make sure that gets to the title company in a timely manner. and they're going to cash that. They're not just going to hold on to the check, it will leave your bank account. So you want to make sure you account for that cost, typically in between $500 and $2,500. So, and that cost is totally up to you. It just puts a little bit of skin in the game, lets them know that you're honestly interested in that property. So another thing we're going to do right off the bat is we're going to go ahead and schedule the inspections. So highly encourage you to do a general inspection as well as termite, and if you have a septic system, it's worth it to go ahead and get that done too. But we're going to always recommend to do a general inspection because they're going to go in, they're going to look at everything. Check out the roof, they're going to crawl up in the attic, and they're going to check out the wiring, the plumbing, they're going to look at all of it. And I want to also camp out here for a second because during the inspection report, it's going to be thick and they're going to call out everything. They're going to pull back the shades and they're going to let the sunlight in. So it's very important to remember that, you know, when you get this inspection report, you see all those other things on there. Part of home ownership is home maintenance. And so, you know, that's your honey-do list. So let's just say we finally find that house and we go under contract and then we issue the inspection and we get in there and they look at it and they find a faulty, you know, it's got a faulty foundation. So you can actually back out during that point and you can get your earnest money back then. I like to think the inspection period as a safety net for that reason. So that's good to know.
So after you get through the inspection process, then we're going to notify your lender. They're going to order an appraisal. An appraiser is going to go out. That is a two-step process, something totally different. The inspection versus the appraisal. Sometimes people think that's the same thing, but it's really not. So the appraiser's job is to go out to look at the property, make sure that it is valued correctly, and that you're not paying too much for it, basically. So we've talked about the inspection process and the appraisal process, and simultaneously along with that, your lender is going to reach out. They're going to need some additional information from you, like pay stubs. They're going to need your job history, your W-2s, your bank statements. So you'll need to get that information to them as quickly as possible, and that keeps us rolling right along so that we can close on time. Sometimes your lender's going to have you pay that appraisal fee up front. Typically it's rolled into your loan, but sometimes it is paid up front, and that's about $450. Once we get the appraisal back, then it's going to go to the final underwriting. The underwriter's going to take a look at it, make sure that there's no conditions that need to be met, and he's either going to accept it or reject it at that point. So once he accepts it, then congratulations, your loan's been approved and we can keep moving forward. So the title company comes into play here. They've been working in the background as well. So they're doing a title search, making sure that the property doesn't have anybody else who can come along later and say, oh no, that property's mine. Or they're making sure that there's no cloud on it, so there's not been a mechanical lien put on it, there's not been work done on the property that was not paid for, and then they apply a lien to the property. So if they miss anything, then they're going to pay for that. So that's why you have title insurance. So then you're going to get your title commitment from them. Sometimes there may be a divorce, could be a factor if they've been divorced but they haven't been removed from the title. So that's something that we'll work through as well.
So congratulations, you finally made it to closing. We've got that date set, and you should have received a settlement statement 3 days prior to then, so you should know how much exactly to bring to closing in the form of a cashier's check. So they don't take personal checks, they don't take Bitcoin or gold coins or anything like that, just cashier's check. You're gonna bring that to closing with your driver's license, and make sure you crack your knuckles because you get a lot of paperwork to sign. So we sign a bunch of papers. The sellers will also have a time that they sit down and sign papers as well. Once you receive the notification that funding has been received, you will receive keys to your house and you can move in and go buy all the furniture you want.
So you've bought your new furniture and you are ready to go. We're so excited for you at that point, but we've covered a lot today. So there is a free PDF that you can download about everything we've talked about in this video. Feel free to print it out so you can have it and refer back to it. So if you've appreciated this information and found it helpful, we'd love to help you find your new home. We understand that buying a home is such a big process for you and your family. So you want someone who's representing you and in your corner looking out for your best interests. If you want to be in full control, then don't go directly to those home buying websites and apps where you click an agent, because you don't know if that's a brand new agent who's never sold a home before or just some random agent that maybe doesn't have a good reputation. So we encourage you to do your homework and find an agent that's going to be a good fit for you.
So you won't be alone through the home buying process. We're going to be here for you every step of the way. We know that it's full of emotions. It's excitement, hope, happiness, stress. But we're going to be there, like I said, every step of the way, helping walk you through that because we've been there many, many times, and it's what we love to do. So visit our website, ramsiergroup.com, and read more about us, read more about our team and what we have to offer. And don't just take our word for it. Read our reviews too. See what other people have to say about us.
So thanks for watching, and when you're ready to buy a new home, give us a call. We'd love to help you.